Hello, I'm Paulo Shakarian, CEO and co-founder of Cyricon. Thank you for taking the time to join me today. So we have a very important topic, and that is to understand why peer review of machine learning methods is such an important thing to look for. Now, what is peer review? So peer review is when someone writes a scientific paper. Before that paper is published, it is sent to other experts within the field for them to review the validity of the results and the methodology by which those results were obtained. Now, what if there is something wrong about either the conclusions drawn or the methodology used? Well, then the paper doesn't get published and a note gets sent back to the author describing why the reviewers opposed the methodology or the results, and the reviewers have to list out very specific reasons in terms of what they saw was wrong. Reviewing a paper requires a lot of effort, and it's an expectation within the scientific community. People who work doing machine learning research, whether it's in a laboratory environment or in an academic institution, part of how they get promoted is based on their participation as a reviewer for various conferences or journals. So it's taken quite seriously. Peer review is also very tough. In many of the top computer science conferences, you will hear about acceptance rates, sometimes even lower than 10%. These are the fraction of papers that get through the peer review process on the first go. Even journals and conferences that have a higher acceptance rate, so many journals in computer science, you'll see acceptance rates 20 to 30%, which is still less than half. Often it takes multiple rounds of review to get the paper through, where the reviewer will read it and they'll find some things that they felt were flaws, and then it'll go back to the author and the author will correct it and send it back to the reviewer in a second round of review. And so this is not done very lightly. Now let's take marketing by contrast. Let's say you have some machine learning results around a product, maybe a cybersecurity product. And if it's not peer reviewed, the incentives become a little bit perverse to show numbers that are maybe better than they should be, or maybe they were evaluated in a way to bump up those numbers. And there's ways to do that. So for example, I can easily bump up my accuracy rates by combining in, let's say I'm looking at SOC alerts. I can say, well, I'm combining how accurate I am with predicting alerts of malicious behavior with alerts of non-malicious behavior. Well, if I have way more alerts of non-malicious behavior, that's going to have a skewed accuracy compared to the other group. If I combine all that together and mix them, I'm going to have results that might sound really great, but they won't be useful practically. Peer review will catch things like that. They'll also catch other things people do to manipulate data. So they will do an evaluation on the subset of data using things like, say, well, I want to balance the classes and stuff like that. And so that will also lead to algorithms that are not producing results in an operational environment very well. So peer review is important because if someone's saying that their work is peer reviewed, that is external validation. And it's a process that's not taken very lightly. So unlike in medicine, there are no FDA trials for machine learning. So if you don't see peer review done by the on the algorithms that the vendor is trying to sell you on, you're essentially taking the vendor's word as to what that performance actually is. And this is why it's really important to consider who else has evaluated this in a very thorough way, looking at the results from the vendor and deciding if their claims of accuracy make sense and are applicable to an operational environment. So I hope you enjoyed today's video and found it useful and perhaps learned a thing or two. Please stay tuned to our channel and our website for more videos. Thank you very much.